Gaming Palooza Empire Memory Lane.
Get ready!
Alright, on today's episode of Memory Lane, here on Gaming Palooza Empire, we're going to be playing a little bit of Atari 2600. That Atari 2600 controller can only mean one thing. We'll be playing the Atari 2600. Today, we'll be using the Atari 7800, fully backwards compatible with the 2600. The Atari 7800 was released in 1986. The original 2600 was released back in 1977. The Atari 2600 and 7800 combined sold over 30 million consoles. The Atari 7800 featured a 1.79 MHz CPU, 4 kilobytes of RAM, and the Atari 7800 uses the same 2-channel audio chip found inside the Atari 2600. What a great console! And today we're going to be taking a look at some bad and good movie games. Let's take a look at the rating system. It's a 3-star rating system that we came up with here. 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. Let's go check it out real quick.
Memory Lane rating system loading. 1-star rating equals horrible, real bad, trash. 2-star rating equals fair, good Randall, worth playing once. 3-star rating equals great, must own, possible hidden gem.
Alright, so not only am I going to be rating these games, you guys are going to be rating these games down below. So down below I want to see your list and what your ratings and what do you think about these games. And let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's check out some good and bad movie and TV show games and let's see how these games are. Alright, here we have Tron Deadly Discs. For the Atari 2600, it's an M Network cartridge, so pretty much see what you get right here. There's nothing fancy on the cartridge at all. The spine label has a little Tron logo, but as fancy as you're gonna get. There's nothing really fancy here whatsoever. Now this is what the box art looks like. Obviously the box art looks better than the cartridge, and let's see exactly how good this game is. Let's head over and let's find out. Is Tron Deadly Disc any good? Let's find out. Let's head over to the Atari 2600. And here we have the game right here, Tron Deadly Disc. And you have to pretty much do exactly what you do in the Tron movie. You have to run around and shoot discs at your enemies. And try to hit them with the discs. And that's how you score in this game. And you know what? This game is actually pretty good. It's actually one of the better Tron games. This is exactly what I would want from a Tron game. You're literally doing exactly what's in the movie. You're shooting the discs out, hitting your opponents, and it's actually pretty fun. I'm going to give it 3 stars. It's actually pretty fun, and I will say if you're going to buy a Tron game, let it be this one right here. This game's actually not bad. Alright, next up we have Porky's for the Atari 2600. And take a look at the label art right there. It's a 20th Century Fox game. You have a dashboard and you have some neon lights right there. Not a huge fan of this. It kind of looks like the Porky's Revenge movie poster, as you can see right here. Kind of looks like that. But as you can see here on the actual label art, there's not really much to see. A card dash, a couple of dice right there. Got some neon lights of the Porky's. And let's go take a look at this game and see how it translates from the movie to the game. And here we have Porky's for the Atari 2600. You know, at first glance, it looks like you're playing something similar to Leapfrog. Just hopping across, and all of a sudden you fall straight down into a hole. Looks like a pond. You have to use like a stick to hop across and try to escape, make your way out. You can even see the Porky's building right there on the top. That's pretty cool. Look at that. And it's actually pretty fun. It's not bad. There's different elements to the game, kind of similar to like what you would see with E.T. This is a 2-star. It's not perfect. It's still fun. This would have been a great rental back in the day. What do you guys think? What would you guys rate Porky's on the Atari 2600? Let me know down below. And here we have MASH for the Atari 2600. The label art looks crazy. Looks very, very mashy looking. Got the 20th Century Fox logo right there on the top. You have a whole bunch of chaotic stuff going on there in the illustration with the looks like a helicopter. You got a military tent. You got all the military officials running away from where the tent is. The sign that's pointing over the place. And there you go. It's pretty much a MASH label art. Let's check the game out. And here we have MASH on the 2600. Look, it's a helicopter type game. Now this game right here, you have to try to rescue people and try to return them back to the medical tent. Now this game is actually pretty fun. It's a little hard. And then you have a little mini operation game right here, based off of the actual Operation tabletop game, as you can see here. It's basically the same concept. You have to try to get the little piece out. And, it's pretty cool that they had the mini game in this. I'm going to give it a 2-star, borderline 3 stars. What do you guys think? I think this game is actually pretty good. Alright, here we have a Star Trek game right here. Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator. That's a Star Trek simulator, and you know what? The label art looks pretty darn cool. It's like a nice full label art. A lot of details, a lot of crazy stuff going on here, and I'm not a huge Star Trek fan at all. So I don't know a whole bunch of stuff about Star Trek. Never really cared to watch it at all. But let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's check this game out. Let's see how good it is. Alright, here we have the Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator, and pretty cool title screen right there by Sega. And now this game is interesting. So it's like a shooter where you can actually fly around over the place, but you have a first-person view there on the bottom. So think of it almost like asteroids, where you can turn around and shoot different objects, but on the bottom you have a completely different perspective. You have a first-person view. Very, very interesting. I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I think just for that alone, it's worth owning the game, because you can pop it in and be like, wow, my Atari can actually do this. It's pretty awesome. Alright, next up we have Adventures of Tron. You know the Tron movie, the Disney movie? Well, here we have the M Network Mattel game right here, and you see the end label looks pretty cool. No label art or anything like that. Let's take a look at the box. And here we have the box right here. Adventures of Tron for your Atari video game system. You have a little bit of a Tron box art right there on the bottom right hand side. Nothing too fancy. It's a Mattel game. It has the funny looking Mattel cartridge. Now let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's try this out. And here we have Adventures of Tron. Mattel and Disney copyright right there on the bottom right hand side. Actually had a little title screen right there, and here we are, just running around and jumping on, trying to avoid being hit by things. And the game wasn't fun. It was a 1-star for me. This wasn't fun at all, and it was just there was a lot of stuff going on. Personally, I did not like this game at all. For me, it was a 1-star. It was pretty frustrating, and I didn't like it at all. I really didn't like it. I mean, what do you guys think? Would you guys rate this higher? Let me know down below. Alright, here we have the most popular movie game of all on the Atari 2600, E.T. You have E.T. right there with Elliot, and some pretty cool looking artwork right there. This game had a very tons of hype back in the day. It definitely was a big thing. Big holiday game. Definitely one of those games you want to go out and buy it during that holiday season. And then the video game crash happened. Now this game got all the blame. But is it really that bad? I mean, let's go take a look at the game itself and let's check it out. And here we have E.T. for the Atari 2600 with the epic, awesome E.T. music in the background. Awesome title screen. And here we have E.T. trying to go around collecting different items, Skittles or whatever it was, Reese's Pieces. I'm not sure what the hell it was, to be honest. E.T. falls into holes and you have to try to like interact with different items. And you know, to be honest, this game is actually not as bad as what people make it out to be. It is a 2-star. It's not perfect, but the game is playable and it's actually not bad. What do you guys think? What would you rate this game? Here we have Ghostbusters. an Activision game for the Atari 2600. You can see the Ghostbusters logo right there in the center. Pretty cool. There's really no text or anything like that. It's just a plain, good old Ghostbusters logo right there in the center, with the Activision logo right there on the top. And this game, it's one of the few Activision games that does not qualify to get an Activision patch back in the day. So if you score a certain score on certain games, you would actually receive a patch if you mailed in the score. Let's check this game out. Ghostbusters! And here we have Ghostbusters on the 2600. And the graphics actually look pretty good on this game. It's an Activision game, and the driving sequence right here is actually pretty cool. I actually like it a lot. Then you show up to an area where you have to try to capture ghosts. You have to try to figure out where exactly you're going. You have to drive from building to building from that top layer map. And here we go, we have a ghost right here. Let's catch that son of a bitch. Yeah, get that Slimer. And here we go, we're trying to catch it. And I like this game a lot. The 2600 version of this game is actually really good. I'm giving it a 3 stars. It's a lot of fun. Alright, here we are playing Pigs in Space for the Atari 2600. It's a Muppets game, and I was definitely a fan of the Muppets or the Muppet Babies back in the day. You have Miss Piggy, you have Gonzo in the back, and Gonzo, they're both wearing helmets. What the hell is that on Gonzo's nose? Is that a, well, no comment on that. Let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's play Pigs in Space. That is really weird. Look at that. Alright, what happens when you combine Space Invaders and the Muppets together? You get this game right here. It's basically a Muppets version of Space Invaders. It's a Space Invaders clone, as you can see. You play as a, looks like a chicken, or you turn into a guy at times, and then you have to shoot these chickens. Lots of weird stuff going on here. You see Gonzo right there on the top. He's like a UFO spinning. And pretty weird stuff. This is a 2-star game. It's an interesting clone. It's not bad. It's a little difficult. It's not too bad. You guys, if you guys like the Muppets, who knows? You might like the game. What do you guys think? Alright, here we have Superman for the Atari 2600. And definitely one of the coolest looking label arts of all time. That label art is actually pretty awesome. It's definitely if you would have walked into a video store 30 years ago, 35 years ago, whenever this came out, would have came across this game inside your video store for rent, I would have been pretty excited, just judging by the label art. Look at that. It looks pretty awesome. Really classic Atari label art. But is the game any good? Let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's find out. And here we have Superman for the Atari 2600. And right away, you are Superman. And there is the phone booth right there. And now you turn into Superman, and all kinds of crazy stuff is going on here. Everything goes into complete chaos. I have no idea what the hell is going on. This game is super ridiculous. It is definitely doesn't make any sense, and it's a 1-star. But if you enjoy flying around as Superman, I guess you might like the game. I don't know. What do you guys think? This game is pretty bad. Alright, here we have the label art of Buck Rogers' Planet of Zoom. I believe that this is definitely based off the TV show from the late 70s, early 80s. Maybe the movie that came out in, like, I think the movie came out in like the 30s or something like that. The box art, the label art looks really, really nice on this. I love Atari label art. This one looks pretty awesome. You're in space. It looks like you have a shield. Nice little collage. Pretty damn good. I wonder if the game's good. Let's go check this out. Buck Rogers, Planet of Zoom. And here we have the game right here for the Atari 2600. We have a level 1 of Buck Rogers. And it's pretty loud. You can see we're flying in the it's almost like a, I don't know, it's like a shooting game, but you're actually flying into the horizon right there. So this is pretty technical for an Atari 2600 game. It looks really, really good. Kind of looks like something like you would see like on the Sega Master System with Afterburner or something like that. Space Harrier. It has that type of thing going on here. It is a 2-star. It's a pretty decent game, but it's not exactly perfect. But it's not bad, so it's worth checking out. Alright, here we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the label art is identical to Halloween. It's pretty much a stock, generic label art right there. I believe this might have been a reprint label art. Now, this game released back in 1983, and apparently the game was banned from nearly every single store that it sold in because of how violent it was. It was super violent. You'll see that in a second. It was pretty hard to actually get hold of a copy because of that reasoning by itself. So let's head over to the Atari 2600 and let's check this game out. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And here we have the game right here. Checks Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Got the title screen blinking. And in this game, you actually play as Leatherface, and you have to try to go around chopping the heads off victims, and pretty sick stuff right here. You know, it would have made more sense if you actually played as the victim trying to escape Leatherface. That would have been really scary, like the Halloween game. But this kind of reverses the role. You actually play as the killer. And I can see why the game got banned, I guess. But the game is actually pretty fun. You have a fuel level on the top. You have to go around scoring points by killing your, I don't want to call them enemies or opponents or victims. And that's pretty much how you score in this game. Pretty sick, to say the least. Nonetheless, it's definitely probably the most violent game on the Atari 2600, for the exception of Halloween. But this game takes the violence to a whole new level because you are carrying out the violence. You are literally the killer. Pretty violent for back then, and yeah, the game got banned in a lot of stores, as mentioned already. Still gets a 3-star. It's actually a pretty decent horror game, but I just want to warn you ahead of time, this game is super violent for the Atari 2600, and you may not be your type of game. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Memory Lane. Stay tuned for more Atari 2600 episodes, NES episodes, Sega Genesis, all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, if you guys enjoyed this format, let me know down below. Do you want to see more ratings on more games? Why don't you give your suggestions down below? I want to know what games you want to see next. What consoles you want to see next. Down below, let me know. And have a great day, and stay tuned for more episodes.